Exodus chapter 34 verses 4-6, and 8-9. The Lord, a merciful and gracious God. Early in the morning Moses went up Mount Sinai as the Lord had commanded him, taking along the 2 stone tablets. Having come down in a cloud, the Lord stood with Moses there and proclaimed his name, Lord. Thus the Lord passed before him and cried out, the Lord, a merciful and gracious God, slow to anger and rich in kindness and fidelity. Moses at once bowed down to the ground in worship. Then he said, If I find favor with you, O Lord, do come along in our company. This is indeed a stiff-necked people, yet pardon our wickedness and sins and receive us as your own. Moses is the only person in history to have broken all 10 commandments at one time. Now we see Moses again climbing the mountain to speak with God and get another copy of the 10 commandments. Moses worships God and then pleads for mercy for this stiff-necked people. Recognizing that his people deeply offended God through idol worship, Moses asks that God show his mercy by staying with his people. Did you notice that verse 7 is missing from this reading? Verse 7 says, continuing his kindness for 1,000 generations, and forgiving wickedness and crime and sin, yet not declaring the guilty guiltless, but punishing children and grandchildren to the 3rd and 4th generation for their fathers' wickedness. Wait a minute, we have a just God, why would he punish the children for the sins of their fathers? That's unfair. True, it would be unfair unless the statement was put into its original context. When Moses came down the mountain with the first set of the 10 commandments, what were the Israelites doing? Worshipping the golden calf, idol worship. Moses is furious and throws the 10 commandments on the ground, and in so doing the tablets are destroyed. Verse 7 means, if the father teaches idol worship to his children, the father, not the children, will be punished for his sin. If the children, on the other hand, who learned idol worship from their father and continue the practice, we can now say the sin of the father has been passed on to the next generation. But then the children are then responsible for their own sin. Parents need to be very careful what they teach their children, because both good and bad practices will carry over from generation to generation. Where did the Israelites learn idol worship? They learned from their Egyptian slave masters. Idol worship was a common practice in Egypt. Israel's history bears witness to this concept. Whenever they turned to idols, they fell on hard times. Many people come from families that are less than perfect. We might learn behaviors in the family that we consider normal, but in time we come to realize that the behaviors are abnormal, and cause division in the family. If we continue the abnormal or sinful behavior, aren't we also asking for trouble? One should not take a defeatist attitude, my father was a drunk, so I am forced to be a drunk. Not so, as verse 7 points out, you are responsible for your own behavior, not the behavior of your parents. Moses realizes that on his own he had neither patience, nor the power to guide the Israelites. Like Moses, we too must realize the need for God's presence, his guidance, and his help in our daily lives. It is only through God's help that we can climb over the mountainous problems that come into our lives. God, there is no problem too big to overcome.